Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about August releases. You haven't seen one of these videos before. Every single month I do a new releases video. These are not extensive lists. These are just the books that I am highly anticipating. If you would like to see the past months, I do have a playlist down below with all of the months so far this year. Starting right away on the first, I have 4 books that I am highly anticipating. The first one I have already read. It is With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I fucking loved this book. It was so good. And I actually DNF'd this author's first book, like her debut novel, but I'm so glad I gave her another chance because this was amazing. It is a holiday adjacent sort of contemporary romance. We are following these 2 main characters who work at Cold World, which is this like winter attraction down in Florida, and the owner ends up assigning our 2 main characters as well as her son, who is like the CFO or vice president or something like that, to come up with a way to improve the company. And our 2 main characters are polar opposite. The hero is kind of go with the flow. He just kind of wants to enjoy his life. He is bi and got kicked out of his parents' house at a very young age. And so he lives with this eclectic group of other queer people. His hair is bright blue. He has tattoos everywhere. And he's just very outgoing and friendly and bubbly. And our heroine went through the foster system, and so she doesn't believe that anybody is like for forever. And so she doesn't get attached to places or people or things because she feels like it's all temporary or it could all disappear at any point. And because of that, she's very quiet and closed off and reserved. And the 2 of them end up coming together and having the sweetest opposites attract romance. The next one is Change of Plans by Dylan Newton, which is a standalone, but all of her books do technically take place in the same world, and they are all following these 4 brothers. And this is the 3rd one. We are following Riker, who was a Marine and ended up losing the bottom half of his leg, and he is now trying to start his life over. And our heroine has just gotten guardianship of her 3 young nieces. And I think the 2 of them have like a meet cute at a grocery store and they end up forming a romance. I think it sounds really cute. I really like Dylan Newton's romances. They are super light and fluffy. They're not steamy by any means. I can't even remember. I think there's Open Door, but like very light. But they're really cute and sweet, and I like them a lot. Then we have The Roommate Pact by Allison Ashley, and this is one that I just got an arc of, and I will actually be doing a vlog reading this one. I think Change of Plans is also going to be in that vlog, but this is a forced proximity caretaking romance. Our 2 main characters are roommates and really good friends. Our heroine is a nurse and our hero is a firefighter, and he ends up like breaking his leg or something like that, and she is taking care of them. And they have always had this agreement that if they weren't married by a certain age, they would get married, and I think they start falling for each other. And then the last one on this day, totally different than those other ones, is The Narrow by Kate Ellis Marshall. I absolutely love Kate Ellis Marshall's YA horror books, and I have absolutely no idea if this is tied to her other YA horrors, but fingers crossed that it is, because I really want more in that world. They are not listed as a series anywhere on Goodreads, and so I can't tell if it's connected, but this one I think is a boarding school horror story. On to the 8th is another book that I've already read, which is Dark Corners by Megan Golden. This is a mystery thriller that is technically part of the same series as The Night Swim. It is called the Rachel Crawl series, and they can be read as absolute standalones. I'm trying to mention that everywhere just so that people don't think that they need to read The Night Swim before going into this one. They're completely unconnected. You could read them in any order and it is completely irrelevant. This is following its heroine who was doing this podcast and covering murders and cold cases and things like that, and her podcast ends up blowing up. And she ends up making national news with some of the coverage of not only the murder in book 1, but prior to that as well. And now she's kind of a household name. And she ends up getting wrapped up into this investigation down in Florida with the FBI. There is a missing girl, there is a string of murders, and then there is somehow a tie to this guy who is 48 hours of getting out of prison. You're trying to figure out how it's all connected. And there's lots of good commentary on the toxicity of social media and influencers, as well as the criminal justice system and incarceration. It's really, really great. If you like social commentary in your mystery thrillers, highly recommend that one. And I highly recommend reading this one on audio, since it is like a whole production, full cast, sound effects, the whole shebang. It is amazing. On to August 10th, we have Against the Rules by Brittany Kelly. I talked about this originally in my July releases because originally it was going to come out in July. It ended up getting pushed back. It is now coming out August 10th. This is the follow-up to Against the Clock, I believe, and we are following a different football player and a cheerleader. That's all I know about it. I think there's a golden retriever hero. It's a really cute, light, fluffy sports romance. I'm excited to give it a read. I enjoyed book one quite a bit. It's a very cute, low angst sort of romance. And then on the 15th, we have a couple of fantasy books. First is the re-release of the Four Horsemen series by Laura Thalassa. Laura Thalassa's books got picked up by Bloom Books. It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy series, and we are following the Four Horsemen who are coming to Earth to end humanity, and they end up falling in love with human women once they get there, but that's being re-released. I think the covers for Laura Thalassa's books with these re-releases are kind of tragic. Also on this day is Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher, which is her next fantasy series. I have not read the synopsis for this yet. It says that there is a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult, though, the fae ask her to return to the human world and offer a blessing of protection to a newborn child. Simple, right? But nothing with fairies is ever simple. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles, where the thorns are as thick as your arm and as sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadling will do anything to uphold. It says that it's a novella as well. It's only 128 pages, which I do really like. On the 17th, we have Kingdom of Fire and Fate by Holly Renee. This is another one that I put, I think, on July's releases and got pushed back. And this is following two of the characters from the original trilogy. This is a spinoff, and it's Soren's romance. I don't actually know the synopsis of this one, and I don't think I want to read it. Just because it is a spin-off, I don't know what is going to be spoilery and what isn't. And I'm assuming it's taking place after the events of what happened in the trilogy. So that is finally coming on the 17th. On the 21st is Pucking Wild by Emily Rath. I know nothing about this book. I don't want to look at the synopsis because I actually haven't read book one yet, but this is the sequel to Pucking Around, which I know is like everyone's favorite book right now. One day I will read this series. It's just long. Super long. On the 29th, supposedly we have Hollow Knights number 7 by Lee Jaco coming. I don't have any idea what the only thing I can think of for this holiday is Labor Day. That's the only idea that I have. There's no synopsis or anything yet, and she hasn't released the titles. She usually releases the titles and synopses and covers and stuff like that like right before the release, so I have no idea, but supposedly this is coming on the 29th. We'll see if that is accurate or not. I hope it is. I really want another one of these books. I love this series so much. And then on the 30th is Not Dating Material by Saxon James, which is the second book in the Accidental Love, I think, series by her. This doesn't have a synopsis yet. Saxon James's books are super funny and lighthearted and low angst. And then the last book that I'm going to talk about. Here's the thing. I have no idea if this is being released in August, but Rizzy Adams has been teasing it. It is How About Forever? And the published date is August 6, 2022. So maybe it's coming out in August. I don't know. But I wanted to mention it because I got very excited to see that Rilzy Adams is going to be releasing a new book. It says our two main characters promised each other just one night to explore the attraction simmering between them. Trying to take things any further would make things complicated that neither of them are willing to risk. But what happens when neither time nor distance can dull the fire ignited between them? When they are finally in the same place again, the two realize one night may never be enough. So How About Forever? I love Rilzy Adams's books. She is an expert at writing a fantastic novella, which I always say is like a totally separate skill than writing a full-length novel, and hers are exceptional. And I really hope this is coming out in August. I'm manifesting it. Like I said, there's no reason for me to think it's coming out in August. but I'm trying to manifest it. Hopefully we have a new Rosie Adams. That is all I have for August releases. Let me know if there are any additional books that you know that are coming out this month that you are excited about. I would love to put them on my radar. I say this every time, but indie releases are so hard to stay on top of sometimes because of the time frames and your ability to see them if you are not following that author at the right time. So definitely let me know down in the comments if there are additional releases that you are excited for. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.